Have you ever stood at the top of a 600-foot cliff and looked over the edge? Water crashing against the rocks below, dark night, and realized that this is where the road of life has led you. Or how about, have you ever been so busy living life, working and grinding and doing the next thing and the next thing, and one day you look up and you discover that you're standing alone in a desert? Hi, I'm Steve, and welcome to another Down Home Clean Carnivore video. For 3 years, I worked diligently by blind faith, believing that what I was doing was right. I knew that the food that I was eating was ruminant meat, and I knew that that was what the Lord described as clean animals in the Bible. And all that felt right to me. I created carnivore content for Facebook. The content included nutrition and metabolic health, weight loss, mental clarity, healing. I revived and rebuilt my YouTube channel, creating videos about carnivore living and my own transformation. I even created AI videos because I was afraid to stand in front of a camera. What started as a potential income source had not produced a dime. I'd gathered thousands of friends, followers, subscribers, and contacts. I knew that those were significant numbers, but I felt no connection. I was like a man standing on a hill and shouting into the wind. And as the 3-year mark approached, I feared two possibilities: the cliff and the desert. What if this road ended at a cliff? And what if I had to walk away from everything and start over? And what if I looked around? I looked up after all that time and found myself alone in a desert with no path and no direction, nothing to show for the effort. Of course, that wasn't entirely true. The book was being written chapter by chapter, and the newsletter was built. The landing pages, the email sequences, the broadcasts, the forms, the automations, the domains, and the testing to make sure that the emails arrived, making sure that subscriptions worked, making sure that payments worked, making sure that the entire system did what it was supposed to do. The work was moving forward. And as a friend of mine likes to say, the work was steady by jerks. A little progress, and then a dead end, another breakthrough, and then another obstacle. And I spent days trying to figure out workflow and systems and video production, how all the pieces fit together. And I hit a dead end. And then suddenly the answer would appear. The confusion would evaporate, and the solution would be right there in front of me. That happened over and over again. Not easy, but clear. And then something changed. About 3 years into the journey, I received what I can only describe as confirmation from the Lord. Not an audible voice and nothing dramatic for sure. Just a deep certainty, a knowing, the unmistakable realization that He was in it, that He approved. And that it wasn't merely my idea, that it wasn't merely my project. This was something that He had placed His hand on. And once I knew that, everything looked different. The work didn't become easy, but it became easier to keep going. The obstacles did not disappear, but the answers kept appearing. The confusion would lift, the next step would become clear, and with every solution that came, a growing sense that I wasn't finding the way alone. I was being led, and little by little I began finding the people that I'd been looking for at Costco, at Walmart, at church. And sometimes all it took was a 5-minute conversation. I'd show them my before and after picture, and then I'd tell them what had happened. Not just about the weight loss, but about the mental clarity, and about the freedom from depression, the healing, And then I tell them that I teach people how to become metabolically healthy through a free newsletter. And then I'd already had a system. By then, I already had a system. And on my phone, I had a before and after picture ready to go. And I had the newsletter subscriber page ready to go. I'd hand them the phone, and all they had to do was enter their first name and their email address. We'd press next, then finish, and just like that, we had a new subscriber. One name at a time, one conversation at a time, one relationship at a time. Meanwhile, the work behind the scenes continued. We started posting every day across Facebook. Pictures of raw meat, steaks cooking in a skillet, plated meals, and stories about carnivore, metabolic health, and healing. And the lessons I was learning along the way, well, I told them to Facebook with pictures that were working. Reactions increased. Comments increased. They became more engaging. People were engaging. Then we committed to Monday, Wednesday, Friday production schedule on YouTube. Video after video about carnivore, nutrition, metabolic health, weight loss, mental clarity, you know the drill, and the lessons I was learning along the way. For years, I'd hidden behind AI videos, and now I was looking straight into the lens and talking to people. And at first it felt awkward. Then one day it didn't. And speaking to a camera became as natural as speaking to a room full of people. And looking back, I can see that something else was happening. The Lord wasn't just building a message. He was building structure, margin, systems, workflow, consistency. Videos were being scheduled in advance. Newsletters were being written. Processes were being documented, one problem at a time, one solution at a time. Sometimes progress felt painfully slow. And then came the trip to Linden, Washington. And at first it was just supposed to be a little getaway, a mini vacation. And at the time, I thought my laptop had failed. I was running everything from 2 phones. And incredibly, the mission had become portable and I was moving forward. Videos were being rendered. Newsletters were being written. Content was being scheduled and the work continued. And that's when it hit me. This was not tied to a desk and it wasn't tied to an office. It wasn't tied to a particular piece of equipment. The mission could travel. 3 weeks into talking head format, most videos struggled to reach 10 views. And then a Friday came. One video broke out. Not viral, but compared to everything that had come before it, it was enormous. 800 views, and at this taping, now 900 views. Nearly 40 new subscribers. But what caught my attention wasn't the final number. It was the way it happened. The video kept moving hour after hour, day after day, and I would check the numbers and then check them again. More views, more comments, more subscribers. The video wasn't just attracting attention, it was lifting my channel. Other videos were being discovered as well. Older videos were getting views. People were subscribing. People were commenting and engaging. And for several days, I watched it unfold. And with each passing day, it became harder to dismiss. For the first time, the channel felt like it had life. I already knew that he was in it. That question had been settled. I had received confirmation that I needed. But there's a difference between knowing that the Lord approves of what you're doing and watching him participate in it. For a long time, it felt as though he was a patient observer, present, guiding, providing answers when I needed them. And now he was adding fuel to the fire. He was calling the people And for the first time, they were coming in numbers I couldn't ignore. The breakthrough wasn't just in views, it wasn't just the subscribers, it was the realization that I wasn't standing on a hill and shouting into the wind anymore. The people were there, and they were responding. And if you're listening, then God bless you. Maybe you've spent years putting one foot in front of the other, working, grinding, and doing the next thing. Wondering if you're headed toward a cliff, wondering if you'll wake up one day alone in the desert. I understand, I've been there. But sometimes the Lord is doing more behind the scenes than we can see. Sometimes He's building the road while we're still walking it. If this story resonates with you, subscribe and join the conversation in the comments. Walk with me. We're just getting started. And in the next episode, I'll tell you more about the moment I realized that this was becoming something bigger than a book, a newsletter, or a YouTube channel.